right, Steph, good morning to you. Good morning, everyone. Here's what we're following today. We may soon get details about how Ontario will be easing some restrictions. We are standing by live at Queen's Park this morning, where the Ford government expected to release their reopening plan today. The province suggesting that it is leaning toward a sector-based reopening instead of that regional approach that we've seen in earlier waves. Stay tuned for that. We don't have timing on this announcement just yet. We'll get that to you as soon as we have it. We're also standing by live right now outside LAMPORT Stadium in Liberty Village, where advocates say the city needs to do more to protect those experiencing homelessness. Just yesterday, a violent clash between police and community members, and tension began as city officials dismantled an encampment in the area. Toronto police say multiple trespassing arrests were made, one person arrested for assaulting an officer. And the City of Toronto unveiling a vaccine blitz by making 19,000 appointments available for the long weekend. And these bookings are up for grabs across 6 city-run clinics, and 10,000 bookings are also available for next week. You can make an appointment through the city's website or through the call center. All right, we've got a lot to discuss. For that, we join Mayor John Tory for his weekly check-in. Good morning to you, Mayor Tory.
Hi, Mel.
All right, I want to first start with yesterday, before we get to COVID-19, back to LAMPORT Stadium. And it was quite the scene yesterday, with an encampment being dismantled. We saw major clashes here. I know you've talked about this before and saying that these encampments are not safe. And then the other side being that they say it's not safe to be in the shelter system. They don't feel as if they are protected there. So the day after seeing these scenes, these violent scenes, where are you right now and what's the next step?
Well, I mean, we're continuing to do what we're doing, which is focused on moving people to safer housing. I mean, we've been doing that for months. We've moved literally thousands of people, including more than 1,000 from encampments to safer indoor housing, because the encampments are not safe, they are not healthy, and they're not legal. And so, therefore, to just have these happening in public parks on an indefinite basis is just not an acceptable option. And so we're going to continue. I mean, this particular encampment, before the officials came yesterday to try and remove a lot of, the structures and so forth, had been visited 107 times by street outreach workers who were offering housing on each of those visits to the people who lived there. And literally, as of the time the people arrived yesterday, the majority of people living there, a total of 15, by the way, had said they would accept or we're in discussion of accepting alternate housing in a hotel room. So we're not asking them to go someplace that is not safe, in many cases a hotel room. We've also taken big steps to have high-level disinfection from COVID at the shelters and hotels, to carry on quite an enthusiastic vaccination campaign to get our homeless people experiencing homelessness vaccinated. So I think we're doing everything that a responsible government should be doing. And of course, we have a huge push on building much more supportive and affordable housing, more than probably any other administration has done in the city's history. But that does take some time, although we're doing some of these things with modular housing that are much more rapid to provide housing for precisely some of these kinds of people who are in need of some extra support in their lives.
Okay, I want to move along to what's happening this weekend, and we are seeing some major progress with vaccinations here in the city. So kudos to all of the teams who are on the ground at these sites, making it happen, getting these shots into arms. And the city just announcing thousands of more appointments happening this long weekend. As we head into this long weekend, we heard from Dr. Eileen de Villa with her words of warning, saying this weekend is so pivotal in making sure that we save our summer here. So I want to get your take on where things stand right now for vaccinations and what the goal is in order to have a really safe reopening here for the City of Toronto.
Well, I think you'll find when Premier Ford and his government come forward with the sort of reopening plan that a lot of it is based on the levels of vaccination achieved, simply because as people get vaccinated, it provides a degree of protection. It does take a couple of weeks for it to set in, but it provides a degree of protection against the virus spreading. And so that is one of the reasons why it's so important for people not just to protect themselves, but, it's going to really help us to get to the reopening and of course, to have adequate levels of protection, maybe 100% eventually. But so that's why people have to get vaccinated and get that first dose now. And we're, over 60%, but 60% is well less than 100. And, so we're pushing to get that number up as high as we can. And I think a holiday weekend, given that, there are many activities that aren't available, this is an activity people can, engage in. And of course, the eligibility has been opened up such that most people can now qualify to get a vaccination one place or another. And then the second part of it is, I think Dr. de Villa was really hinting at the fact we've had, not such a great track record on holiday weekends because it's It's a time when people naturally decide they're going to get together with others. And we're just saying, please, try and get through this holiday weekend without, spending time with others and socializing with people you don't live with, because every time we've had one of those holiday weekends where people do that, there's then a spike up in cases after that, and the case counts have been going down, hospitalizations going down. We need to keep it going that way, because I think you'll find the provincial framework for reopening is based on that too, not just vaccinations, but on things like hospitalizations and the number of people that are in ICUs.
Will there be stepped up enforcement this long weekend?
Well, yes and no. I mean, we've never from the beginning, we don't have the people, frankly. I mean, in a big city like this, 3 million people and spread out 1,500 parks. I mean, we don't have enough people, even if we wanted to have, so-called stepped up enforcement. What the police and the bylaw people have been doing is responding to complaints, and they've been responding to complaints in priority order of those that are involving large gatherings. So that some of the things that will, catch our attention or the attention of law enforcement more are the kind of the Cherry Beach gatherings with sort of a big beach party, and that sort of thing shouldn't go on, and people have to really cooperate with us in that regard. But they'll be attending to large gatherings, which is their choice. They make those decisions, and so they will be keeping an eye out for those things. But we really need people's cooperation. There aren't enough police and bylaw people to, be at every street corner, nor do you want that.
Mayor Tory, we got about 30 seconds at least for this portion of the interview. Is the City of Toronto ready to reopen, in your opinion? I know it's going to be by sector, but have you had those consultations with what's happening outdoors? Are we ready?
Yes, I think we are. I think that the part that is going to take longer, and therefore we have longer to continue to prepare, is when the office buildings start to sort of repopulate themselves with people coming back to the downtown. And that's a work in progress, with a lot of work being done on different protocols, elevator protocols, mask protocols, testing, projects and so forth. There's a lot of work being done with the Board of Trade and others working with the city. So I think the answer is yes. And I think the businesses are most certainly ready. It's a question of the people being ready to, yes, move to the next stage of reopening, but to make sure that it's done in a cautious way that continues to follow what will be rules that will be in place even after we begin to reopen. But I think we're ready, and I think we're certainly ready for it in sort of a psychological way, for sure. I mean, it's summer and people are ready. They're frustrated, and we want to get on with opening safely, and that's exactly what we would intend to do. Okay,
here's what people are also hopeful for, and for this, we are going to bring in Tory time. Here we go.
Woo! Let's go. Fire it up.